a little bit funny going on with West Ham at the moment. And when I say West Ham, I mean the press and the stories that are surrounding it. I guess it started back in the start of the transfer window, when it was being put out there by a lot of people that West Ham had no money to spend, that West Ham wouldn't buy any players. Now, you know, if you watch this channel regularly, I maintained at the time this made no sense. It makes no sense for anybody. This conspiracy theory does the rounds that somehow Sullivan wants to run the club into the ground, get us relegated so as he can sell up. It makes no sense at all. I don't even want to go into it. It's advantageous for Sullivan, for West Ham, to be if he wants to sell it, to be as high up the table as possible, then he can charge a premium. Put simply, you could charge more if you're a Premier League club than you can a Championship club. But the asset stripping suggestions were there. Now, don't get me wrong, there's an awful lot of reasons to criticise David Sullivan's ownership of the club. None more so than the failed move to the Olympic Stadium, which has just not yielded what was promised. We're still not competing with the top clubs in terms of revenue, and that's why we moved. And I don't want to go back over it again, but there are a lot of reasons. I've mentioned before about the way I thought that what was handled at Upton Park was absolutely disgusting, I've got to say. So there's a lot of things. The transition, the vendors, supporters club, all of this stuff has been handled abysmally poorly. However, to suggest that he wants the club go down to the Championship makes no sense. Part of the other part of it was, I just didn't believe that it would make any sense for David Moyes to commit to a long-term contract at a club where he wasn't going to get any money. Again, you had to buy in to the concept that Moyes was in on it, that Stuart Pearce was in on it, everybody was in it. It was very conspiratorial. Yet still, it was peddled, the suggestion that West Ham have got no money to spend, we're not going to spend any money. Well, of course, we did spend money, but it went alongside the narrative where West Ham were going to get relegated and West Ham got no money to spend. Clearly, neither were true. We've got the best manager that we've had in years. When it became clear that I think that we were going to spend some money, the other stuff started to happen, the more negative stories. West Ham won't give Declan Rice a new contract. West Ham won't give Soufal a new contract. Souček is underpaid. A lot of the players felt undervalued. Now, the whole narrative coming from the club at the time was very, very clear. And I think it's probably quite difficult, actually, because I do believe David Moyes has probably instructed Sullivan to shut up. I think that's the case. Yeah, he probably wanted to get the story out there at least once that there was some money to spend. So we heard at least once that there was some money to spend. I think then something else happened, which was we were told that after the transfer window was being completed, then we would look at renewing players' contracts. And the message was only there once, but it was quite clear. Let's get transfer window out of the way. Let's concentrate on getting players over the line. Then what we'll do is we will then go and focus on renewing the players' contracts. Yet it still persisted. Soufal's not getting a new contract. Souček's not getting a new contract, even though we knew it was. And I just think there's so many negative stories been doing the rounds that you have to wonder where these stories are coming from and what is the agenda. Because I do think, as much as so many of us would like David Sullivan to sell up to a rich owner that can just afford to take the club onto the next level, which clearly he can't. It was still detrimental, I felt, to the angst that was going around, particularly bearing in mind that there was a supposed takeover bid from Pi Capital, right? And I thought all the things sort of coincided to put a lot of negative news and a lot of negative connotations onto a club. Actually, at the time, we're doing relatively well. If actually you forget the failed stadium move, if you forget how far the seats are from the pitch, and just forget all of that stuff and leave it for a moment, and actually look at the form over 18 months, it's about as good as it gets at West Ham. So with that in mind, bearing in mind we were actually, as West Ham fans, enjoying relatively good times, qualified for Europe, so on and so forth, great start to the season, still the negativity was there. And I just find it really, really odd where all these stories are coming from. I feel like it's the point we're doing well, and I want to enjoy West Ham. I feel like you're trying to climb out, but then you're sort of being dragged down by it. With very much a tone of, well, hold on, and say, well, we might have signed Zuma, but we won't sign anyone else. Okay, well, we might do this, but be miserable about this. This might be okay, but there's something else to moan about. And I just felt it was so much that it was. I just didn't. I didn't like it. I think it's completely counterproductive. Now, I do actually believe that I would like David Sullivan to publicly put the club up for sale and declare his terms. I really would. But I would like him to sell to the right person. As I said, not anyone is better than David Sullivan. We have proved that before. He's proved that before. He sold Birmingham City to Carson Young. It was far worse. And they've not recovered. They've never recovered. So the right owners are really important. I would like him to put us up for sale. But I'd also like us to be taken over by someone that can afford to run us. Simple as that, really. But anyway, just before I talk about the players' contracts that look like they're going to be renewed, and this is very good news, can I please point you in the way of Hammers Chat's Patreon, which is basically a way that you can support Hammers Chat. The link is in the description below. Basically, you're supporting Hammers Chat. We have 3 different tiers. You pay a monthly subscription, either the most basic subscription is, it works out under £4 a month. The most expensive, I think, it's $14.99. You unlock a load of additional content. We're really building up our shop at the moment. You're going to get a lot of discounts in our shop, which again, the links will be all in the description below. The main reason to do it is if you would like to support Hammers Chat so we can continue to do this. We're doing this. All the free content remains. You just unlock some additional stuff. Back onto the contracts. Okay, Soufal is such a player, such a wonderful player. And when you go back to what I was saying about these negative stories, there's no way Soufal, because this is what we were led to believe, Soufal's going to be agitated to leave because he's not going to get the contract he thinks he wants. If Soufal was agitating to leave, I don't think we'd have seen Crowell coming in. Sometimes the most obvious answers to this story are actually there. So Soufal getting a new contract, absolutely right. Souček, let's be honest, he's one of the players that so many people concentrated on Declan Rice throughout the transfer window, and he had a great summer, didn't he? But let's be fair, Souček played in a successful team himself in the Euros. So much attention was on Rice. And I mean in terms of Rice being sold or someone being interested in him, that almost the thought of Souček being transferred elsewhere was sort of lost. But I think there's a very real possibility that other clubs would have been interested and would have come in. And I still do believe that whilst the big clubs did have a bit of a spend up, it's almost like they could only afford one very expensive player each. Man United only afford one very expensive player. Jadon Sancho was at 77 million. Grealish to Man City, Lukaku to Chelsea. You get the point. I mean, Liverpool, they bought a centre-back for... Is Canate? They're buying for 35 million, something like that. You understand what I'm saying? I don't feel that there was some massive spending spree going on from the big clubs. So even at a top level, the budget was restricted. I feel without a restricted budget, I do feel we may well have having to fend off some bids for Thomas Souček. So I do think it's important that we get him tied down. The other one is Mikel Antonio as well. Apparently Mikel Antonio is in line for another pay rise and a new contract. These are all good things. They really are. It doesn't deal with the elephant in the room, of course, though, which is a Declan Rice, which it appears that he just won't sign his new contract. Somebody posts on this channel every single day, or it seems that way anyway. You'll have to excuse me. I think that if you go back and look, you have to excuse me that I've been. I think the name's David. Possibly, if I got it wrong, David, apologies. Actually, if I've got it wrong, he's not David, so the apology's not very good. I'm still just calling you the wrong name. He says, and I don't know, I've not validated this at all. He said that Declan Rice has not been appearing on the West Ham fan channel. The West Ham official channel, It's WHU TV. Apparently, Declan Rice has not been doing interviews with our in-house television channel. And apparently, as far as I know, on his Instagram, he's not really posted about West Ham. He's only posting about England at the moment. I don't know whether any of this is true. I really don't. So before we all start going, sending nasty tweets to Declan Rice, it might not be true at all. But I did find it interesting. I do think there's an inclination to feel that Declan Rice is not going to sign a new contract. That being said, and I'll just leave you with this thought now. You remember the first time Declan Rice was going to sign a contract with us? It went on and on, didn't it? We did videos on it as well, and there was a lot of talk about his agent, and it didn't look like he was going to sign a deal. And then just one day, after all of us were saying it looks like Declan Rice is winding down to leave, now you've got to, this is whatever, 2-3 years ago, now clearly a lot of the standing and the calibre of player that he is now. However, he was a promising youngster then, rather than an established international and one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, which he clearly is now. It was looking like he wasn't going to sign a contract, and then he just did. So I'm not ruling it out at all. And the club, once again, I talk about the messaging. The club are quite clear on this. They're going to be offering Soufal, Souček, Antonio, there may well have been one other, excuse me. They're going to offer them new contracts. As for Declan Rice, there is a contract offer right there. Whenever Declan Rice is ready to go to negotiating table, there's a contract waiting for him, which will automatically make him the highest paid player at the club. That's all they can do, really. That's it. I don't know what it is. I would imagine they're willing to pay. I'd imagine they're willing to pay Declan Rice about 140, 150 grand a week. Massive money. Massive money. I think West Ham can stretch to 200 million. Not 200 million. Crikey, imagine. 200 grand a week. I think they want to pay him about 140, 150 grand a week. I don't think we can afford 200 grand a week. We're just not that size of club for all the reasons I said. That's the next level that we just can't get to yet without mega rich owners that we need to get there. But anyway, I think all in all, this is really, really good news. I just wanted to just say one thing really quickly. Sorry, I said I'd finish then. My glasses are broken. Look at them. No, literally. Oh, honestly. Oh, this is going to be really... I shouldn't do a reading piece now, really, should I? Okay. Oh, no. Dom, do you still watch this? He's an optician, basically. Nikola Vlasic's father, hold on a second, says that his son should have joined AC Milan. Excellent. Oh, the old PR. Old father, old Vlasic Senior. Good old Vlasic Senior. Yeah, he said, West Ham are all right. They're pretty good. He said they did well last season. Antonio looks a good player, and they've got a good manager. Hold on, let's see what else he said, actually. But he said, but he should have joined AC Milan. This is pathetic, isn't it? And what did he say? He said, West Ham also have a good manager, and I hear they also have good working conditions. Clearly he'd not seen the training ground at that point. I joke. The training ground is... I've been to the training ground, as you know. I remind you constantly. It's actually... The bit where the players train and the pitches are quite nice. It's just very, very small, and there are some porter cabins. So the trouble is, they put the press in the porter cabin when the press go there. So I think the press look like, what on earth is this dump? But apparently it's getting a bit of a lick of paint and a makeover and all the rest of it. But yeah, they have good working conditions. However, he should have gone to AC Milan, really.